Welcome to the SwimStrong Dryland Podcast. We are dedicated to inspiring and educating the swimming world. Our podcast highlights the work, character, and achievements in and around the SwimStrong community.
We are thrilled to bring Coach Brody Lewis and Jordan Taylor from Utah Swim and Dive on here representing the Utes. We appreciate you guys taking the time to be on here. And we are going to hear from them and their stories and what Utah is all about. But first, we got to hit our rapid fire questions. So are you guys ready?
Let's do it. Ready to go.
All right, here we go. So what would be your walkout song?
For me, it was Sandstorm. I'd go with Greta Van Fleet, Highway Tune.
Solid. What would you be doing if you weren't a coach?
Kind of exercise science, still kind of in the sporting realm, but more on the science side of things. I'd probably be a middle school PE teacher. I actually been taught for that in my undergrad.
That's awesome. What is your favorite food for swim meet weekend?
Some Chipotle, probably. I'd probably go with like a chicken parm or something like chicken and rice. Something simple.
Chicken never fails. Best Halloween costume you guys have ever had?
I went as the Ring Wraith from Lord of the Rings one time. I'd say Phineas and Ferb. It was pretty sweet. Dyed her hair and everything. It was a lot of fun.
What's a hidden talent that you have that most people don't know about?
I'm pretty good with a yo-yo. Back in the day, I was pretty decent.
All right.
I'd say disc golf. During quarantine, I actually picked up disc golf. I've actually won a couple tournaments, so pretty fun. It's a nice little weekend hobby.
What was the name of your stuffed animal growing up?
Mine was Thumper. Thumper. Yeah, I like it.
What kind of animal was that?
It was a rabbit. It was the rabbit from Bambi.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, mine was just doggy. It was just a little like black and white stuffed dog. Pretty unoriginal on my part.
I love it. If you guys could meet any celebrity, what celebrity would you meet?
I'll probably go with Bieber. Wow.
Wow.
I'm going to go with Peyton Manning. I'm a big Broncos fan. So a little rough after Sunday.
Yeah. Well, last one, maybe most important one. Who is the funniest person on the Utah Swim and Dive staff?
It's a tough one because everyone's pretty funny, I have to say, but I'm going to say Joss. His redneck humor is pretty good. I'm going to go with Joss, too. He's Southern Georgia boy. He's got a lot of funny stories, and he can put a little character twang on it, too. So
both had the same one. Awesome. Well, thanks for letting us dive into some of those questions so people can get to know a side of you they may not have known. But we're going to go ahead and jump into some of the main content. And would love to hear just your guys' stories, your background, what your journey has looked like up to this point, and how you ended up at Utah. So, Coach Jordan, if you want to start, you can share first.
Yeah, I mean, mine's a kind of wild, I guess, longer than most. But yeah, originally from Scotland, born and raised there. Swam over in Scotland, and one of my kind of like slight regrets was I never came and explored the NCAA as an athlete. I had some opportunities, but stayed home and swam at the university, which I don't regret. I had a great swim career there and a great education, but always had that itch to come to America and kind of experience this. And so I was lucky enough given the opportunity to move to Tennessee. I was working with Carson Newman Division II program as a graduate assistant, and got a chance to do my master's there, be an assistant coach for a couple of years, and with the full intent of going back to Scotland and taking everything I learned back home. And then it just kind of worked out that I was given the opportunity to become the head coach there. I was able to guide the Carson swim program for 6 years as the head coach, developed the program there, and you had an awesome experience. Athletes, all the support staff, everything was awesome. Kind of thrown in the deep end, at 24, 25 years old, becoming a head coach. I was like adamant that I was not the person, and I wasn't ready for it. But the student athletes rallied around and supported me, and I learned a lot through all the mistakes that I made in the first couple of years, and things kind of got easier and easier. And I stayed in Jefferson City, Tennessee, a lot longer than I ever envisaged, but the athletes were kind of what made that a really special place to be. And then actually kind of through some of the athletes I coached there, two brothers from Romania, Paul and Andre, they swam. I coached for them at Carson Newman, and then they both transferred to University of Utah, and that was kind of what set up some of the connections. We also saw ourselves as the little brother to the University of Tennessee, and they've done a lot to help grow our program as well, and being at their mid-season invites and stuff like that. And with Jonas, the head coach here, having swam there, that also kind of set up some of the connections. So yeah, as I looked to transition my coaching career, University of Utah was just kind of great home for me, and somewhere that I was kind of really excited to jump on board with. And now I've been here for just over a year. It's been awesome, and yeah, really excited about the future.
That's awesome. That's a really cool story. I love how you jumped right into it too, and maybe didn't feel like you were ready, but you took it anyway and ran with it. And I hear that a lot, like people take the opportunities when you have them. And if you're not afraid to step into the moment and, trial by fire and learn as you go, I think that's a great mindset to have as a coach. Like, hey, I'm not coming in here saying I have everything figured out, but I'm coming in because I love this sport. I love the opportunity to coach and make an impact. And I love how you said you had the support of your athletes, which I think is huge, just developing that type of community. So it's a cool story. And how about yourself, Brody?
Yeah, so I'm actually from Colorado, so just about 7 hours away, northern Colorado. I grew up there. I was actually a big hockey and lacrosse player, so I didn't really get into the sport of swimming until I was 13. And even at that point, I was mainly focused on triathlons and cross country. So I did a lot of those sports really till my junior year of high school, and I was like, all right, I'm pretty good at this swimming thing. I should probably go for it. And yeah, kind of at that point, I was a pretty good recruit. I was like a B finalist at juniors, and so I had a wide variety of colleges getting my attention, from top 10 programs to mid-major programs to everything in between. So the recruiting process was a lot of fun. I actually had 5 scheduled visits, official visits, and back then it was July 1st going into your senior year is when open contact started. It's a lot different than it is now, so it was a little tighter of a window. But I had 5 official visits scheduled. Utah was actually my second visit, and I committed the Monday I got home and canceled the rest. So I kind of fell in love with the campus and the coaches and the team right away. It was close to home for me, and I just felt right. But coaching wise, I actually started club coaching here at Utah the fall of my freshman year, so that would have been 2016. The head coach of a club team that practiced at our pool called Swim Utah, his dad actually coached me back home when I was swimming at Loveland Swim Club. So I started coaching there. I was working with our 11 to 14-year-old age group for a while, like 5 years. And then I coached Utah Zones a couple years as well with the 11-12 age group. And then COVID kind of hit in 2020, and I was lucky enough to jump into a head coaching job at a local high school. So I was coaching high school, coaching club, running clinics, kind of doing everything in that weird time of COVID and just graduating and kind of figuring it out. And then I actually got a call from the head coach at Northern Colorado, Lisa Eveling's her name, and she's like, "Hey, I need this assistant coach. Are you interested?" And that's my hometown, so I was like, "Yeah, sure. I'll interview and go for it." And ended up getting the job there and worked there for 2 seasons. Learned a lot. It was very different from going from a Power 5 school and having a lot of different amenities and options, and just how we traveled and did things, to a smaller mid-major program that was women only. So I learned a lot on just how to coach differently, how to be more patient, understanding, and really, I think an all women's team has a very strong bond and a very strong connection. And it was a lot of fun. And I was the only male coach on staff, really the only male in the whole program. And I was 23 years old when I started out, and a couple of the athletes were even older than me. So it was weird, but it was a lot of fun. I learned a ton, and Lisa, my boss, kind of gave me a lot of things to do right out of the gates, from running workouts, running groups, doing this and that. So, I learned a ton in 2 years, and we had a really good program. We won some relays at conference, and it was really cool to be a part of that. And then when Jonas took over Utah, which would have been spring of 2022. Yeah. I shot him a text as soon as I knew he got the job, because I also had an inside source. My little brother's on the team. He's one of the team captains here. So he gave me a shout once Jonas got the job, and Jonas and I reconnected because we overlapped for, I think, 4 months there my senior year. He came back to Utah right at the end of my senior year. So I kind of knew him a little, swim with him a ton. But yeah, and then ended up coming back here, and I've been coaching here. This is started year 2 here, but I mainly work with the breaststrokers and some of the IMers, and we do a lot of overlapping, but that's kind of the main spot I'm with. But yeah, it's a ton of fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing that story. Super cool how both of you guys ended up at Utah, and Brody, hearing how you were an alum yourself and got to swim at Utah is a pretty cool thing to get to coach where you swam at. And can you speak a little bit about that, how that may be unique from most college coaches' experiences? What is it like to be now coaching where you used to be, where the athletes are?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I think they'll ask me about, oh, well, did you do this when you were here, or how was this set? And like, because my main coach, Michelle, she's still here. She's our associate head coach, and I was mainly a distance swimmer. So I did a lot of the sets they're still doing today, and I'll chirp at some of the guys sometimes, like, hey, when I was here, remember I was going these times or something like that, just to motivate them a little bit. But it's really cool. I think I bleed red for Utah pretty hard. I don't miss a beat, miss a play on football games. Saturday mornings are my favorite day of the week, driving up to campus, seeing the stadium before the game and that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's awesome. I think as a coach, I kind of have a step up on recruiting because, I was a recruit here, I was an athlete here, and now I'm a coach. So I've lived it in all 3 different domains. I know the campus like the back of my hand. So it's a lot of fun trying to share the same enthusiasm and pride that I have for this school, and try to implement that into the athletes, because, I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in our pool, and now they're doing the same. So we kind of, have the athlete coach relationship, but we also have the alumni athlete relationship that, hey, like, I want you to do well for this program because I tried to do the best I could for it as well. So
yeah,
it's really cool. And I think every coach, would do a lot to go back to their alum and do the thing that I'm doing right now.
Yeah, I think that's super unique, and you can relate to the kids in a whole different way that a lot of other people can't. And then on the other side, Jordan, you come from a world of different experiences, which I think is awesome. And so having people from different backgrounds collaborating together, I think is huge for just helping the athletes be the best they can be. What have you taken from your experiences now that has helped shape your coaching philosophy or mindset at Utah? Because you've had so many different experiences and different cultures and at different levels. How has that helped shape you as a coach now at Utah?
Yeah, I think that my perspective coming from Scotland, coach club over there, and swimming is more of an individual sport. You obviously swim with your teammates and stuff like that, but even at a college level, at the University of Edinburgh, everyone kind of is on their own mission. They've got their own goals and kind of events to focus on. You want to support your teammates, but it's not got that cultural aspect that the NCAA has over here. So for me, and like a lot of international athletes that come across the NCAA, that was something I had to learn, had to figure that out. I was really good on the technical side, and finding all the extra 1%, whether it's on the dry land or in the weight room, in the pool, sleeping, nutrition, all that kind of stuff came natural. But creating a culture, getting people bonded together, doing something that means more than just for that one person, it's for this collective team, was something I really had to try to figure out over my time at Carson Newman, and try to kind of find what worked and what didn't work, and create that culture between people from all over the world, people from all over America with different experiences in their own career. And so that was really, an awesome experience, and I learned a lot. I learned a ton from my athletes over my 8 years at Carson Newman. Hopefully I taught them some stuff along the way, but really just trial and error, I was able to pick up a lot from them, which was great. And one of the unique things I think coming into Utah that kind of helped me work with some of the athletes now is at Carson Newman Division II program, program, there was, less resources, less budget, things like that, but we made the most of what we had to maximize our full potential. And coming into Utah, like the resources are amazing, and the opportunities that the athletes have here. Really, success should be a natural product of the coaches and the sports staff that we have. And it's encouraging athletes to not take that for granted, to be happy with what they do have, and not continue to look what do we not have, and complain on that, but make the most of what they do have, and really grasp with two hands, and maximize their 4 years here. And when there are complaints about certain things, I like to remind them of, I coached this team that didn't even have certain things, and they were still able to go really fast and do some really great things in the pool. So you guys have got no excuses. But I think that kind of background coming in here has been nice, and having been a head coach for 6 years, like that brought a different experience. And now supporting as an assistant is something I've had to kind of adjust to a little bit this year. But also it's allowed me to understand what Jonas is going through as a head coach, the different political things that might go on behind the scenes, but always trying to think about what is he needing as a head coach, what can I do to serve him and best serve this program, and so that I guess experience has really helped me, I think, do a good job as an assistant. But again, one of the cool things at Utah, just like my previous school, is the athletes have been awesome. They've been really acceptive of me. They'll poke fun at times about my kill or my bagpipes, but we have really good banter on pool deck, and for me, coaching is fun, and I think that between me and the staff here at Utah, we try to make swimming fun for the team as well. So that aspect has been awesome this past year.
That's cool. Could you guys speak a little bit too, if you're an athlete? So for the kids out there who are watching this and have interest in Utah, what can they expect being a part of the team? As just what are some ways in which you would describe the team culture, the team atmosphere, what their day-to-day looks like, how the kids are connected, that type of thing, the things that are deeper that maybe you can't just see from a 2-day, 3-day visit?
Yeah, I'd say, especially on the guy side, I can speak a lot to it since I lived it. But, the facts are you're going to be training 20 hours a week. We're in the water about 16 hours. We're in the weight room or dryland about 4 hours a week. But the deeper stuff is, going camping, being outside. Like, I think Utah is known for our beauty and being able to have the mountains as close as we are, even being able to ski during the year, that's a big asterisk. So if you're a recruit, I'll talk to you about how much you get to do that and when you get to do that. But skiing, hiking, paddle boarding, camping, I think we have a lot of people that love to be outside and love to spend time with each other. And we try to do a lot too as coaches, and be involved with the team every time we have recruits and football games. I'm grilling up burgers in my Utah apron and getting things going. We're playing spike ball and cornhole and hanging out before the games. We really try to make sure we're all in, and that's from a coaching staff standpoint as well. I think the team, they're tight. There are tight pockets. Every team you're going to be on, there are those pockets of people that just naturally get along better, and you're going to have your best friends, you're going to have your friends, and you're going to have your teammates, but it's all together at the end of the day. Pretty much everyone on the team lives with someone off campus, and they have that connection and your roommates and so forth. So it really goes pretty far. And from an alumni standpoint, it's like, my best friends and that kind of stuff, they're all people I swam with in college. Like, those are the people I talk to pretty much almost every single day, and we're at Pac-12s in midseason, and my phone's blowing up like, great swim by so-and-so, and all these old alums and guys I swam with are so involved with the team and want to see us succeed. So I think it doesn't stop once you leave the program, it just keeps going. And for me as a coach, I hear stuff from guys even from the late 80s. They'll shoot me texts before Pac-12s and that kind of stuff, like, good luck, get them going, like, say this to the guys. I'm not going to share that on here because there's a lot on there, but so I think it's a lot. It doesn't stop once you leave the pool. For sure. Yeah. So I'd say, outside the pool, we live in an awesome place where we can ski, we can hike, bike, camp, do really whatever. You know, that the great outdoors are really, you know, a stone's throw away from the dorms, like we're right here. But yeah, we do a ton of stuff, staff included. Like, you know, we love to do tailgates. I love to have my Utah apron on, cook burgers, hot dogs for everyone, get everyone super pumped up for game days. You know, like I said, Saturday morning is the best time of the week. But yeah, and culture wise, I think we're in a great spot. You know, we have 4 kind of major pillars on what we expect as a staff, for the team to strive for. Number one is to have fun and enjoy yourself. I think that sometimes goes without being said, but can also, you know, it's very important. You know, swimming's super hard. You got your face in the water. You're putting in a lot of training hours where you're not talking to anyone, and it's, you know, yourself in the black line. So we want you to enjoy yourself. We want you to take pride in what you're doing. Number 2 is to do the right thing, you know, and that's everything, you know, in the pool, in the classroom, on the weekends, make sure you're getting recovered, to really strive to being an example. Number 3 is to work hard, you know, and that's, you know, again, classroom, in the community, and in the water. You know, we want people that aren't afraid to push themselves and push each other and make us just better all around. And then number 4 is compete to win. And that's really, we have team goals, and then we also have it be individualized. Like for some guys, we have guys that their goals to be top 8 at NCAAs. Other guys, you know, they just want to make the Pac-12 roster. But, you know, we believe if everyone at, you know, all these different levels can hit those goals, we're going to be really good as a team moving forward. So
awesome.
yeah, so that's kind of our culture from the coaches side, and then our men's team and women's team actually separate and do team rules that are new and refined every year based on our captains and leadership committee. So
That's
it's
cool.
always an evolving process, and I think that's good, and based on the team we have and how we're looking to grow.
How did you, I think it's really interesting that you're reciting the 4 pillars that you guys have, because a lot of times people have that stuff on their website. They have it on, you know, pieces of paper on a recruiting visit maybe, but they don't actually know what the pillars are. Like I can't tell you how many teams have core values on their website. And then you ask a coach on the staff and you're like, well, what are your core values? And they're like, I don't know. And they have to pull up their website. I'm like, how is it a core value if you don't know what it is? And you just kind of ripped those off, which I think is amazing, because it's something you guys, it means you actually are thinking about it, right? You're actually thinking about, this is what we believe, and here's different ways in which we implement it. And then you have, can you talk, either one of you, can you talk a little bit more about what you said about the captain? So you said that there's different team rules each year, which I think is really cool. So you have like your Utah Swim and Dive, like pillars, but then you give the athletes the ability to lead and create the culture and the rules that they want each year. What does that process look like? I think that's pretty unique.
You want to jump on?
I'll let you take it. Yeah, you done this?
Yeah. So this is something actually new since Jonas has taken over. You know, he wants a lot of the ownership to come within the team and the accountability to be within each other. You know, we as coaches are here to, you know, make you a better athlete and make you a better person, and, you know, have you perform in the water and get ready for a career. You know, ideally, we'd love you to be a pro athlete forever, but that's not the case. You know, so we want you to be set up for life. And so within the captains, we have them set up team rules, team expectations. Like if you're late for practice, what happens? If you miss a practice, what happens? You know, and if you know, do this or do that or something like that, here's the repercussions. And the ones that hold you accountable are the captains, and then the coaches can get involved if you know there is something. But we really want to be a team that is a well-oiled machine, holds accountability for each other, and that doesn't matter if you're a freshman calling out a senior or a captain, you know, leading the way. We want everyone to be in charge, you know. And I always like using this analogy of kind of like a sled dog, because you have the guy that's actually driving the sled, and then you have all the dogs in the middle, and then you also have a lead dog. So the thing is, who's really the leader of the sled? You know, if you don't have anyone steering it, you're not going anywhere. If the lead dog doesn't know the direction they're going to go, you know, it's tough. And then if all the middle dogs just refuse to work, it's not going to go anywhere. So you need all 3 parts to work together. So we view the coaches as kind of the ones driving the sled, and then we need, you know, a captain or 2 that are leading the way, driving the charge. But I think it's even more important to have, you know, the second and third guys, the followers, you know, because that's how you get everyone to follow. One person can have this crazy idea or want to make a change, and nothing might happen. But if you have, the second and third person jump on that, that's when an impact happens. So that's why we want it to be, full team. We need the driver, the lead dog, everyone in between, all go in the same direction. So yeah, it's awesome, and we're lucky enough to have a great sports supervisor. His name's Keith Embray. This is his second year, and we're actually his only sport, and he's super involved with our team. He's even done meetings with our captains. He does workshops with just the coaching staff. So he's done a great job. He's all about team building and everything. He even uses the sled dog analogy. That's his. I just like it so much that I like to hear it a lot. But
That's awesome.
yeah, so it's kind of a new direction, and I think last year it went pretty well, and this year is moving the right way. And kind of like I said, doing the right thing is a big thing we want to do, and that's even on the coaching side. And we want athletes here in our program that want to be here, and if you're here for the wrong reasons, we're going to make sure you either change or you're not going to be here. And that's kind of it's tough, but we're in year 2 of a new staff, and ideally by year 5 we want to be really good, and we know it's not going to happen overnight. So we got to make some sacrifices along the way and make sure that everyone's on that sled pushing the thing the way we need to go.
Yeah, you said several things there that stood out to me. One, so our leadership director for SwimStrong, Sean Workman, he always talks about how if a team's going to be successful, everyone has to be a leader in their own way, right? You're just leaders in different spots, but everybody has a role. You have to be, I don't know if this is a Bill Belichick Patriots thing or just something he stole from somewhere else, but you have to do your job at the highest level. You have to be a superstar in your role. And if you can be a superstar in your role where nobody cares who's in the spotlight or who's getting credit for this or that, you can have a crazy successful team. And I love the analogy that you use and how you guys set it up, and having captains who hold each other accountable and athletes who hold each other accountable is so important, because if coaches are always the ones saying like, you need to do this is what our standard should be, you need to do that, it's kind of like pulling teeth. But if the athletes are in it with each other and pushing each other, that's going to be a whole different story. It's going to be a team that's going to be a lot more fun to be a part of, and it's going to be a lot more successful than if it's always just the coaches. And so I love that you guys give your athletes that freedom to come up with those things and to really steer the direction that the team is going to go. And the last thing you said that also stood out that I don't know if a lot of people hold to is you said, hey, this is the way we do things. And if you don't do things this way, then this isn't the spot for you. And not being afraid to have those conversations and say that. And so anyway, all of those things I think are really cool, really important things. And it makes sense why Utah is moving the direction that they are with that type of leadership. So to dig into a little bit to like coaching philosophy, if you're an athlete coming to Utah and you set foot on campus day one, what are some of the expectations they can have as far as this is our training philosophy, this is how much they're involved in the process versus like coach leading it type of workouts, whatever direction you want to go with that really. But when you're walking someone through, hey, they've come from all different club experiences and training styles and all kinds of different things I'm sure you guys have to sift through. So what do you want athletes to know? What's the training philosophy when they come to Utah?
So I guess I'll lead off with this. Like we said, there's 5 coaches on staff that coach the swim team, and each of us come from unique backgrounds as far as our own swim experience, our coaching experience, and just life experience in general. And I think that each of us coach in our own unique way. But we, as a coaching staff, are looking for people that want to come and work and take that next step. It's not, I've made it to college, I'm swimming Division 1, and now I can sit back and relax. It's, I've got these opportunities in front of me. How do I maximize the next 4 years? And your dreams and goals are not just going to happen just because you wrote them on a bit of paper and said, this is my goal. I want to go to NCAAs. I want to make top 8 and be All-American. There has to be a plan, and there has to be work put in place, not just when the coaches are watching, but when the lights are turned off and no one's just paying attention. Are you eating right, sleeping right, doing the right things, and day in, day out? And those little wins along the way are going to add up, that 1%, each week, each day. win the practice, win the main set. We talked about winning has been an important part of our culture, but Jonas talks a lot about winning the right way, and going learning life lessons through the sport of swimming that are going to set you up for success, not just in the pool, but in the academic field, but also into your career and the life in the future. And we use sport as a vessel for those kind of teachable moments. But with the coaching philosophy is definitely putting the work in day in, day out. I wouldn't say we're a high yardage program. We're really focused on quality, and again doing things the right way. You can dive and go 9 low and a 25 freestyle, but you took 2 breaths, it was sloppy, body position's terrible. That's not going to lead to long-term success, or you're going to reach your ceiling pretty quickly. And we're looking to pinpoint some of those details, make them better. A lot of the stuff that we do in warm-ups, especially recently, have more kind of rules around what we're looking for on certain things to get the brain engaged. It's not just turn up and swim 2 hours and go home. It's turn up and be engaged, bring your brain with you to practice, think about what you're doing. And as coaches, we try to give plenty of feedback. Like I said, we're all unique in our own way as far as how we coach, but working with the athletes as much as possible to educate them and learn from them as well along the way. And all of us, have that shared vision. And one of the cool things I'd say about the team is that I feel over this past year they've really bought into this more shared approach to be on a mission and everyone kind of going in the same direction. And that's comes back to holding everyone accountable. And I think the coaches as well hold each other accountable, give each other different ideas. We brainstorm, we learn from each other, and none of us are done learning either. We all want to get better. I tend to be the question guy on the staff, and I just want to learn as much as I can from everybody on staff here, and ultimately that's going to make me a better coach. But I think we are a quality over quantity type program, but hard work is definitely a big must around here with Utah.
Yeah, I hear you talking about quality and details, and don't really care about what times you're going in practice or even at meets. It sounds like I want you to have the highest ceiling. I want you to be able to do things the right way. You talked about winning the right way, which I think there's multiple levels to that. Where did your mindset for attention to the little details, not worry about all the other stuff, but focus on the little details and winning the right way, where does that come from and what does that look like?
And I think for me, swimming's a hard sport. Everyone who continues to swim through high school and club, they typically know how to work hard. It's just instilled in, I'd say 95% of swimmers, that hard work is, no one chooses swimming. Swimming kind of chooses you along the way, and you just know how to grind out hard weeks. And so once you get to that next level, swimming D1, everyone knows how to work hard. So how are you going to outwork some of these top 10 programs in the country? And we race Olympians within the Pac-12. If you go to NCAAs, there's a lot of Olympians in there. You can't go in with the idea of I'm just going to outwork them, because that's just not an easy thing to do. But finding those like I said, those little wins, those 1%, whether it's body position, sleep, nutrition, things outside the pool that can positively impact your practice, positively impact your race, sports psychology, finding those little things. And suddenly you find 1% in 5 or 6 different areas. You put them together over a season, now you're looking at 5 to 10% improvement. And it's not just about the working hard, it's about doing the things the right way. And so I work a lot with more of our short distance athletes, sprinters. And on a race that's going to last 18, 19 seconds, it's not the person who's working the hardest that's winning that race. It's the person who makes the least amount of mistakes. Everything flows, everything is tidy. You can't get away with a bad start and break out. It's race over. And so really, honing in on those skills and having the athletes understand the importance of everything they do, Even when it's recovery stuff, I like to put a lot of drills and stuff in there. Drills that I don't really have to give feedback. The drill itself gives its feedback to the athletes. So it gets them thinking, and they're not just swimming a lazy 200 recovery. They're actually doing something that's purposeful, whether it's body position kicking or some swim drills, to set them up for the next rep that's coming along the way. But also, you add that together throughout the whole season. Instead of having thousands of easy laps that are just lazy and training bad skills, you're putting in, things that get them thinking a little bit, get them outside their comfort zone, and ultimately, hopefully leading them to become better athletes and better, well-rounded athletes.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about making sure that they're bringing their brain to practice. I thought that was funny, but like super, it's a great way to say it, because there are so many times that athletes can just go through the motions. And I think when they know that their coaches aren't going through the motions, right, and you're putting in the time, you talked about being the question asker on the team, that everybody's always learning and you guys are trying to get better. It inspires the athletes to do the same thing. Like, hey, we're going to come in here with a purpose. You want to accomplish something. We want to accomplish something. Let's do this together. And let's actually think about what we're doing, because if you're not thinking about what you're doing, you're almost just wasting the time. And so I love how you talked about there's every single thing you guys do has a purpose and the details matter. And you mentioned like a 50 freestyle, like it's when you get to a certain level, everybody is going to work hard. That's a prerequisite, right? Everybody's talented and everybody works really hard the higher and higher levels you go. So what separates you, that extra 1% you talked about, is all the little things are not so little anymore at the highest level. So I love that attention to detail and focus of just the whole athlete, as opposed to just like, yeah, let's just outwork well, yeah, we want to have the hardest working team in the country, but everybody works pretty darn hard and wants to be successful. But it's also about working smart and with intention. And that's what I'm hearing a lot from you guys, the Utah philosophy. So that's really cool. Do you guys have anything else you'd like to add to that from a dryland perspective? Anything that you would want club swimmers to know? Like, hey, when you come into Utah, this is really what we want to see. This is what we're looking for in a swim athlete, and kind of progressions we'll take you through, as opposed to, I think most people think about college swimming and they're like, I need to come in there and I need to know like Olympic lifts, and I need to be able to be super, super well versed in the weight room and be crazy strong. And, there's a lot of stigmas that we try to break in club swim athletes' mind going into college and help them do things the right way to maximize their potential. But can you guys, as college coaches, speak to that, what you're looking for as far as dryland?
Yeah, I'll jump on this one. So I mean, for us, number one, weight room and dryland, injury prevention, number one. And then two is getting strong. I think a lot of athletes are like, get me in the weight room, let me do curls, let me squat a lot. And it's like, if you have no physical literacy, body control, core control, you're not going to be able to do that. So I think coming in the door, in the weight room specifically, the first 6 weeks, all the freshmen and transfers are in a separate block program compared to the rest of the team. And we don't care if you've Olympic lifted for 2 years, 3 years, however many years it's been. We put you in that 6-week block program to do the things that we need you to do, and the coaching cues that we use, and just understanding it. Because, you can tell someone to, flat back, core engaged, a lot of different ways. There's a lot of different coaching cues that get that across. So we just want to make sure that our verbiage is the same. We want you safe in the weight room, take it nice and slow. Every once in a while, we'll have a couple guys or girls that are extremely proficient. They know how to move their body the right way, and they might only be in that for 2 weeks, and then they get integrated with the rest of the team. But we have no problem taking it slow. I always tell recruits, especially guys that are like, I've never lifted before, what's going to happen? I'm like, we have no problem if you're on a separate plan for 6 weeks, 12 weeks, the whole freshman year. Like, we want you to learn the basics first, how to properly squat. We'll start you with goblet squats, then we'll go to front squats, then back squats, and then we'll get into the power movements and so forth. So we really want it to be, done right. I think we say that a lot, but we want it done right, and especially safe in the weight room, that you're doing things the right way and are comfortable there. And then from a dryland standpoint, We really only do dry land depending where you're at. So our sprinters, they lift 4 times a week. Mid-distance athletes 3 times a week plus a dry land. And then distance is twice a week in the weight room and then twice in dry land. Distance has kind of one dry land that's more true cardio, some assault bikes, kind of circuit training, kind of working their true engine on land, because the true milers and 500 guys, they got to be able to hit that high end aerobic threshold zone for a while. So it's great to do some cross training. Kind of our middle distance group, I run that dry land session, and I focus a lot on just being more athletic, understanding how to move your bodies in different ways, more body control, a lot of jumping, plyometric movements, some rotational power, circuit training, kind of everything in between. I love finishing with some fun challenges or some team building aspects. But the big point on land is I'm trying to make you more agile and have fun while doing it, because there's a lot of athletes that sometimes are true swimmers. And what I mean by that is you started in the water, lived in the water, and you have that sport experience. So I want to kind of have you branch out of your comfort zone and learn how to jump. Or maybe today, hey, we're going to warm up with a little ultimate frisbee for 5 minutes. Here we go. Let's go. Everyone have fun. And then we'll jump into our lines and get rolling. But recruiting wise, I get super excited when I hear an athlete's like, oh, I played high level basketball, or I'm a track and field athlete. I do high jump, triple jump, that kind of stuff. I think it's great to do multiple sports. Up until, early high school, like myself early on, I didn't really focus on swimming until my junior year. And I think doing all those other sports, being in track and cross country and growing up playing hockey and lacrosse, like I think that helped me a ton in the water, because it's hard to translate what you have on land into the water, especially if you're starting with nothing on land. You almost have to build that up. And with only 4 years in college, you might not really make a whole lot of gains there with only the 4 years versus the kids that grew up playing soccer, baseball, track, football from age 4 to age 16. They have so much just extra body control, physical literacy, and so much stuff. So recruiting wise, I love it when other recruits have played soccer, that kind of stuff, and it gets me excited. So I think dryland philosophy wise, we want you safe, injury prevention, and then get you strong. So
that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with all that. I think that some of the things that kids don't like to do in dryland, again, some of the smaller stabilizing muscles getting targeted, and some of the more low key exercises that might not be your bicep curls, Olympic lifts, and stuff like that. You can see this, direct correlation to getting stronger and faster in the weight room, and that transfer into the pool. I think, dryland, whether it's like an actual dryland session or it's pre-pool kind of warm up and skills and stuff on land, can sometimes be pushed aside. It's not that important. But the stabilizing muscles around your shoulders and joints and stuff like that are what's going to keep you healthy. We talk about injury prevention. Like, you can get as strong as you want, but if you get injured, you're at the pool for several weeks potentially. What's that strength really going to do to you unless you can utilize that? And I think some of the, again, low key exercises that don't have a lot of fun. I think if an athlete going through high school and club gets proficient in kind of more body weight control, athletic movements on land, it's going to serve them well going into a weight room, and can also transfer education and athleticism. And then at Utah here, we try to use the kind of art of coaching to transfer the dry land, and they're making the gains on land, but then they're getting to utilize that and maximize their skill development in the pool as well. It's not just, hey, you got strong and now we hope that you can go really fast. It's how do we use that strength, and we work with our Tana, our strength coach, on making sure the scheduling and everything lines up, the structure of our seasons line up with each other, and then again, like I said, as coaches, we try to make sure that the athletes are carrying that over from the pool or from dryland into the water, or again, taking something from the water out into dryland or into the weight room, again, to see the overall growth and development for an athlete.
That's awesome. I love how you're talking about the connection of Yeah, we can have as much strength as we want, but if you can't utilize that in the water, it doesn't matter. And so you guys saying, number one, we want swimmers to be healthy and focus on all the little things, stabilizing muscles, injury prevention exercises, mobility work. That is huge and something we preach to our athletes all the time, but it's awesome to hear coming from college coaches who are doing it at a high level. Because if you can't be in the water, you can't make any progress, and it doesn't matter how strong you are if it's not going to translate specifically to what your goals are, right? Um, so that's really good insight. You talking about athleticism, injury prevention, and just doing things the right way. And that you guys, it's exciting to me that you guys take everybody, regardless of where they come from, and put them in this block where you're like, hey, we don't care what you've done or how much you can lift. We want you to do this the right way. And that's going to make your potential the greatest. And so preaching, doing it the right way over and over and over again, and not worrying about what type of weight you're throwing around or what your specific skills are right now, I think is huge for athletes to hear, so they can focus on that at the club level. And then you guys as college coaches don't have to work backwards with kids coming in, having all these other things in their mind that they think they should be doing, and they've just skipped steps. And now you have to unwork bad habits or poor thought processes. And I don't know, have you guys seen that a lot? Like people, you've had to unwork a lot of things versus, just being able to continue their progress from club swimming.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's it's hit or miss sometimes, and sometimes it's just doing little things like pushing off the wall the right way, not breathing in all your turns, like little things that's like, oh, my club coach never said that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what are they doing? But then other times we've, had some great clubs that are very continuous, and we've had a lot of recruits, and they do really well. But and same in the weight room or in dry land, and just like, how you clean up after yourself, and talking to your teammates and being vocal. Like, I think we just, sometimes you teach that, and other times you're like, hey, like, you don't say that right now. It takes a little bit, but I'd say mostly athletes, most freshmen come in, kind of like a deer in the headlights. They're scared. I always call it freshman syndrome. They win every warm up for about the first 2 weeks, and by the end of the second week, they're just dead because they've been going as hard as they can. And I had a conversation with one of our guys. I'm like, he was just so dead, and we had their alumni meet, and he was like, I went so slow, my legs are just so heavy. And I'm like, all right, you need to learn to, progress throughout the week, warm ups. When we're telling you to count your strokes and do this and count descend work, it's like, really be mindful of like, I'm not going all out here. I'm focusing on being efficient. Or if we're warming up, doing some underwater work, it's not, hey, can I beat everyone in the water right now? It's like, how many kicks can I take? Where how's my body feel? And just kind of not selective trying, but putting forth the effort when we actually need it, not just trying hard because you can. And I think definitely once you're a junior in college and you're very comfortable with the team, and you have, a different leadership position, you just naturally understand that, and you know what you need to do and know what the coaches want. But definitely out of the gates, freshmen, if anything, they exceed expectations, and we kind of have to rein them in a little bit and kind of get them to do what we want them to do. But by about now, a month in, I think they're all on the right page, and we're in a really good spot. So we have a huge class, especially on the guys. We got 15 newcomers and 15 returners. So
it's exciting, man.
Been not growing pains, but just like a growing experience, I would say.
Yeah.
So to add to that, just what you guys do as a company, the way you work with club programs or work more on an individual basis, the educational factor that you guys put in. I think a lot of times strength and conditioning or dry land can be an afterthought. It's like, hey, we've got to get all this stuff done in the pool, and we've got to hit this yardage. Oh, I've got dry land for 30 minutes. Yeah, let's hit some abs, or let's do some medicine balls around. And I think like that was very old school approach to swimming. And I think as things evolve in the 21st century, the resource that you guys provide to your athletes into the club programs is awesome. And now dry land and strength and conditioning is becoming part of the training cycle. And again, it's not just get in the pool and outwork the rest of the world or the rest of the country, but let's train smart. Let's keep our athletes healthy. And again, something we talk a lot about, but I know it's also a big factor for you guys as well, as getting athletes healthy, and that educational piece and putting an emphasis on those little things. And again, I talk about doing things in the dark when no one's watching. That could be foam rolling and stretching, mobility work at your house, at night before you go to bed. And it might be turning up to the pool 20 minutes early and hitting the bands and doing some shoulder mobility and rehab stuff before you get in the water. No one's giving you high fives for that, but that makes a big, big difference to your potential as you go through club and high school, as you go through into college. And if you want a long-term, successful career, it's those things that are important. And so, ever since I found out about it, what you guys do, and got a chance to come to the camp just a couple months ago in Charlotte and seeing it, firsthand, I think that you guys are a great resource that set up your athletes well. Whether it is individuals you work with or whether it's a club program you work with, they're better prepared, I think, going into college, because colleges care about dryland, they care about lifting, they care about that whole package. And so an athlete that's had that experience in club knows how to kind of navigate all of that together, and again, grasp that with two hands and make the most of it, and not just check a box like, oh, I lifted three times this week. So that's something that I think you guys do an amazing job with.
I appreciate that a lot. It means a lot coming from you guys, and the feeling is mutual. What you guys are doing there is incredible. And dryland, we try to emphasize the importance of it to kids and coaches all the time, but we also emphasize, hey, this is a strong supplement to your swimming. Like, swimming is going to be your number one if you don't pay attention to the details. If we don't work with passionate swim coaches who don't love what they're doing and are always learning, the dryland's going to have minimal effect compared to when we're working with coaches who love what they're doing, and they have the kids engaged and working in the water. So hearing you guys speak about your passion in the water and the attention to details that the things that you pay attention to, and then understanding the value and importance of all the things, the dryland side of things, nutrition side of things, sports psychology side of things, when all of that is working together, it's an incredible experience for the athletes, and they get the most out of that, when you have a whole team collaborating to give your athletes the most. And I think that's something that is unique about your guys' staff that you've mentioned several times, is that the kids can, depending on which group they're in, they're going to have different coaches with different philosophies and, different training styles. But at the same time, you guys are all on the same page. You guys are all collaborating. You guys are all working as a unit and making each other better. So in the same way that athletes make each other better, can you talk a little bit about the Utah coaching staff and how you guys make each other better and collaborate? Because I think that rubs off on the kids.
Yeah, take the lead on that one.
Yeah, so I think we all kind of come from different backgrounds, like we've talked about, and I think it's not like a competition, but I think we're all competitive people. So we all want to be like, oh, what do we think about this set? What do we think about this? Like, if I'm coaching a set with Joss, like we use OneNote for all our practices, so we can see everyone's up there and all their totals and progressions and stuff. And we'll be in the offices across the hall, like typing out like different options, and like we get carried away sometimes where it's like we get harder and harder and harder and harder. And we're like, all right, reel back, because we're trying to see, which person's going which way and stuff. But I think we definitely rely on each other. Like even this morning, we had a men's only workout. It's kind of an aerobic kick swim, and then in some pulling groups. Jonas is like, do you think these intervals are too hard? What do you think? And I'm like, I think it's too hard. And then Jordan's like, well, I think some of the guys can make it, where we at, and just like kind of stepping back and taking that holistic approach and making sure, like, always checking with someone else. Like, hey, what do you think about that? And even like, if I'm riding a anaerobic set for the breaststrokers on a 100-day, I might ask Jordan, like, hey, what are you doing with the 100 fly, 100 back group today, just to compare and contrast and see, like, because we have the same totals, but we're gonna maybe take a different approach where I might do some band work and some resistance and then some fast swimming, and translate that where Jordan might be doing 1050s on 120 all out, like really hitting that zone. And it's like, man, maybe I should do that. Like, what do we think about that? And we kind of just go back and forth, talking from anything from the exercise physiology standpoint to what the athletes are going to think of it. Is it exciting enough? Is it going to be too boring? Like, I think it's really easy to, overthink writing workouts or thinking about what you're doing. So it's really nice to have 4 other people as sounding boards, just to be like, hey, am I crazy right now? Or did I just come up with a great idea? So
That's awesome.
yeah. Anything?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And again, like I said earlier, we're all different. And so we get a chance to work with pretty much all the athletes at least once a week. So the athletes get a chance, like 5 different approaches to practice. So you're not going to be doing the same warm-up all the time, the same drills all the time, or the same approach to just swimming in general. And I think that, again, gives that well-rounded, balanced approach to an athlete. And for me, like one of the things that I took away from, again, my previous school, the athletic director that gave me the head coach position, and he kind of believed in me before I ever believed in myself. He always said, like, no one cares until no one cares what you know until they know you care. And again, at 24, 25, I had no idea what he was talking about. But having gone through being a head coach and trying to actually figure that out, and then coming out here to Utah and new program, new staff, new team that I'd never been around before, I take the approach of like, I care about all these athletes. I care about their personal life. I care about their swimming. I care about their academics. But that is true across the whole staff. And so everything that we do, when it's writing sets, and swimmers might think this is crazy and the coaches just want to kill me, like, we're doing it out of love and understanding the whole cycle of work that we're doing through the week or through the semester, because we want them to be successful come mid-season, come Pac-12s in the spring. And again, I hope that the athletes understand that all 5 of us on the swim staff really care a lot about the athletes. And sometimes I act more like a college kid on pool deck than I should, but it's I think the banter between coaches and athletes and making things fun, and again showing that we are human and we enjoy what we do, allows the athletes to enjoy what they do as well, and buy in and actually, like I said, care what we have to offer. If they don't think we care about them, they're not going to really care about what knowledge and experience that we can pass over. And and again, what Brody said, all of us work really well together, brainstorming ideas. And I write sets a certain way, and having been a head coach, no one really ever questioned the way I wrote sets. Now coming here, I get other people's inputs on different things. That's too easy, that's too hard. I sometimes make things pretty complicated. I try not to make things boring, but sometimes maybe I go too far and they're doing a million different things and going to change equipment every 25, and it's just not practical. And so, yeah, like I said earlier, we're also learning as a coaching staff from each other.
Yeah,
just as much as we are hoping to educate the athletes on a daily basis.
That's very cool. That's very cool. I love how you guys work together and can just be open about different things so you can make each other the best you can be for the athletes and for the team. Well, I want to ask one more question of you guys as we wrap up here, and want to hear both of your answers. You can answer whichever one of these two you want. Either what's your favorite part about coaching at Utah? Why do you love being there? Or what's your favorite memory from coaching there? Something that just stood out, the picture of just like a really unique memory that you have that you hope to make more of like that.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, I'll go with the favorite memory because I think I've kind of already shared a lot about why I like Utah. But I think for me, last year at our midseason invite, we had a senior guy, breaststroker, and he was actually a freshman on the team when I was a senior captain. So it was kind of an interesting relationship. But he had kind of flatlined. He improved a lot coming in the door. I think he was like 54.8, went down to 53.1, and then went 52.9, or he was 53.1, 52.9, and then like 53.3 his junior year. So he kind of flatlined, and I came in and was doing things a lot differently in the breaststroke group. We were doing a little more breaststroke kick, a little more volume, and he was a little resistant at first. And then I was like, dude, I'm not like kind of what Jordan was saying. Like, I'm making you do this because it's going to make you better and it's going to make me look good. Like, I'm getting paid to do this job. I'm trying to make you swim fast. Like, I wouldn't make you do something if it's not going to make you better. But we rolled into midseason, and then kind of out of nowhere, he went 51.8 right in the morning.
Dang.
We knew he was NC time. He was like 6th in the country, and he came up to me and just gave me a hug, and he's like, "You're right. Like, I trust you. Let's do this thing." And I think that was pretty gratifying early on because I had known him for a long time, and I think it took him a little bit just to like trust me as a coach. But as soon as he did, he's done great things, and so it's pretty cool to see that as a captain to teammate and like friend relationship now grow into an athlete coach relationship. And I think I'm able to coach the couple that are still here that I swam with, because he's taking a 5th year right now too, in a completely different way because we know each other pretty personally, and it's easy to connect. Same with my younger brother. It's interesting having that dynamic because I want him to do well, but we can get chippy toward each other. But we also can just non-verbally communicate with each other just how we see. But yeah, that's probably the coolest memory I've had so far is, when you have an athlete come up to you and say, like, I trust you no matter what, like, I'm all in, and like, you're like, all right, finally we can get rolling, And sometimes, athletes question things, and that's, what people are about, It's hard to be all in, but yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the whole experience this past year has been awesome. Everything's new. Being on sidelines at a big Utah football game, and feel like just a recruit, hanging out, taking pictures. It's like it's awesome. But for me, again, kind of touching on what Brody just said there, I think the relationship part is kind of the big thing that stands out to me. One of our athletes, Andre Unger, I knew his brother, Paul, several years ago. We came to America essentially the same time. I was a grad assistant at Carson Newman. He was a freshman. We were the only 2 international swimmers on the campus, and we were almost similar ages, and became pretty close friends. But so I got a chance to recruit his brother several years later. He came and swam for me at Carson Newman for 2 years. We had been at NCAA's for Division II. 2020, when COVID happened, we got through a day and a half, and he was looking like he was probably going to win D2 Nationals in 100 back and 200 back, and the meet got shut down. We didn't know what was going to happen. We rushed back to campus, had a big meeting with the team. There's a lot of stuff kind of happening, and he headed back to Romania. At the time, we're thinking COVID will be a week, and we might see you again soon. And we all know what happened with COVID, and I didn't honestly think I would get a chance to see him really ever again. And I coached him for 2 years and was, pretty close with him. And life went kind of full circle. And he took his 5th year. He transferred to Utah later that summer. And then he took a 5th year this past year. And so I came out here, my first year with the program. And it was Andre Unger on pool deck, someone that I, knew from a few years ago. And I'm getting a chance to coach him on a daily basis again in that kind of short, mid to sprint group. And again, just that relationship part, knowing him and his family, and knowing kind of what he had gone through and his whole kind of life story, which is a podcast in itself. Getting to work with him again and rekindle that friendship and kind of coach athlete relationship, and then see him like really flourish here at Utah, have a great time, and then swim lights out. He swum school record at Pac-12s. And then finished 5th at NCAA's, going 44.5 and her back. And just getting a chance to rekindle that relationship was awesome. And the fast swimming was just a kind of cherry on top in that experience.
That's really cool. It's really cool to see some of those relationships come full circle, and the stories that you have with each athlete, I'm sure, is unique, and stories that are now developing that will be super unique a couple of years from now. And so, I really want to thank you guys for taking the time to talk about Utah Swim and Dive, what you guys are all about, sharing some wisdom with athletes and coaches and myself alike across the country. And you guys are doing amazing things over there. It's really fun to see the program continue to rise, and it's pretty obvious why. So you guys keep up the great work over there, and thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having us on, Eric. Yeah, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the SwimStrong Dryland Podcast. If you'd like to be a part of the SwimStrong Dryland family, you can reach out to us via email or social media. You can also follow SwimStrong Dryland on YouTube and TikTok for more educational content.